Alright, so in this one, we are going to be doing a tier list of the APPULE squad slash APPULE force. Now, I don't know if people really want this, maybe you just kind of think it's a funny thing. I'm personally going to be looking at these guys though. Full 14 stars after using them prior to my hour-long showcase, but after my initial showcase of them and using them a little bit, just for fun during, off-camera PvP matches. And I just want to rate them at their best. Now, there's two ways I can rate this, and I'm kind of like flopping back and forth between them, right? One way is I rate them for how their kit is themselves and how their unit is just themselves, or I rate them for how the unit is with the entire squad, right? Because they obviously want to be all run together, and, APPULE supporting Ramon is going to look better than a Ramon just being alone and doing whatever he does, right? That's kind of how it's going to work. So I thought about it, and it seems the better idea is, okay, the first initial part of this will be them when they're all alone, right? I'll rate them all alone as separate units, individuals, and then later on, when I adjust the list, I'll adjust it to where they're with the units they want to be with and flowing the best they can, because there's certain pairings on these 5 units that really make the other units look better and or worse than they actually are. But to get into it, APPULE, right? So we're going to go in order from when they released. Obviously, APPULE is first, Ramon, Orlin, Nabana, and Robery. It is fucking pathetic, in my opinion, that I actually remember these characters' names now. Holy shit, I hope I forget them one day. APPULE. So again, 14 stars, all done, fully maxed out, everything. APPULE is S. Why? So APPULE is giving you crit rate. Now, someone corrected me actually. I said Blue Cooler gives you crit damage. No, he gives you crit rate. Bardock is the only one that gives you crit damage and critical rate, while Blue Cooler gives you crit rate. Crit rate is very important because obviously when you critical, you're doing 1.5x the damage you would be doing to any other unit, instead of just doing, okay, you're doing 1x damage because it's neutral, you're doing 2x because of your type advantage, or you're doing 0.5x damage because of your type disadvantage, right? So crit rate kind of cuts through all that typing bullshit and just says, here you go, you get hard numbers, big numbers because you got lucky, basically, because critical rate is just luck. It's a higher chance of getting your crits, which is luck. You don't get them because you're planning around crits, given there's units like Super Vegeta who can increase your critical rate, I believe, and maybe some equipment, but you can't plan crits to happen. They just are RNG. But with that, he's supporting well. He does decent damage, honestly. All their stats really look worse than they are, because if you think about it, you have 2 supporters on this team, right? You have APPULE, then you have Nabana. So when you have low stats, but then you have a team that but mostly flows best with its own self, and you have support flowing between 2 other units, having low stats doesn't necessarily matter the most, because regardless, you're going to eat well, you're going to tank well, you're going to hit decent, and you're going to just thrive in the matches. APPULE giving the crit rate is nice, giving damage inflicted buffs, and, other units here, let's say Ramon gets like key recovery, Nabana debuffs when he comes in, Robery gets Vanish Gauge recovery up when he comes in. You have all these things that the other units get on their own, on top of what APPULE can give. And him -5 to sub count for his allies is also very good. And getting key back to his allies when he swaps out, and to himself on his main. It's pretty just overall normal support that you expect from a unit, and him having that normal ideal support that we'd see from like a Super Saiyan Blue Purple Vegeta makes him pretty good. I mean, he doesn't need much else. Obviously, you'd want him to hit harder, maybe you want him to tank better, but he doesn't need that because, again, the surrounding units, and it's hard to talk about them individually because they want to be run together, right? So it's like the surrounding units will cover him in his weakness. That's what they're meant to do. So with him himself, what he wants to do, he's doing it perfectly. I think APPULE's a very good support unit. Now, Ramon. Ramon, again, individual, we're rating them. So this is individual, not with their, partners, I guess you could call it, is A. I'll be honest here, he's not the lowest one. So why? Ramon has this thing where the longer he's in, the more damage he'll do. So he'll get crit rate. Now, if we were talking about when he's with APPULE, who's giving crit rate, you get what I mean? Ramon's going to look a lot better. He's getting crit rate. He's getting, I believe, a card at 6 counts in when he's like on the battlefield. Then at 9 counts, he gets like blast damage, or he gets another card. He gets something like that, but he gets a card and blast damage, basically. When he's in for 9 counts total, at 3 counts he gets crit rate. He's going to do good blast damage. His main's going to give him, I believe, a buff to blast damage. I don't think it gives him anything besides that. Generic blue card's going to do whatever. His strike isn't going to do crazy, but he is a blast-based unit, and he's going to hit hard. With the crit rate that he's getting, just a solid, green option. The thing is, Namek Saga doesn't really have many green options. Frieza Force, again, not many green options. Obviously, Minions is the same case. There's not many replacements for him, so he's your best of your worst. I think if, let's say you compare him to the Super Saiyan Namek Goku just came out, this guy's still better than him. Given, this guy's full 14 stars, that Namek Goku's maybe like 3 to 6. If you're lucky, if you even pulled him, you don't have much, fight to have this guy look greater than any other green that's on his teams. So I think him fitting here alone makes sense. But again, later on, he's going to be changed around. Orlin, I don't like Orlin for the simple thing that he's basically Yellow Super Saiyan 3 Goku, the free-to-play one. And if you don't know what he does, 60 counts, then he burns out. Same thing here. They both have the same thing, funny enough. He'll get card draw speed for 60 counts, and then it is gone. Actually, no. Orlin's better. Orlin gets card draw speed till someone dies, which it could be seen better or worse, but it's mostly better because his team has good tanking. He has card draw speed till someone dies. Super Saiyan 2 Goku loses everything after 60 counts. So Orlin is better than that Goku, but that's like comparing, if you had a bird shit on your head or if you had a dog shit on your foot. Like, obviously you don't want either, but I assume the dog shit on your foot would kind of be more, annoying. From experience here, life just hits you sometimes. But nonetheless, main ability gives him a blue card, which is a run dash forward without blast armor. Not good. It'll do good damage, but not good. His blast hits like pebbles, and his strike hits decent. He is probably the least of the desirable units. Like, if you're going to 9-star them all, let's say, right? Because to 14-star, you need 3k energy. To 14-star everyone. If you're going to, like, let's say 9-star your main 3 or 4, Orlin's the one you skip. Get him to 6 stars, get the Z ability for sure, but to 9-star him would be a waste in my opinion. I think he has opportunities where he can do well, but you have to, like, really be in an opportune situation, and he can't do well on high rank. It's just how it is. You'll see it tomorrow when I do the hour-long PvP. I probably won't ever bring him in, and if I do, it'll be like, I'm pitying him because I want to show him off at least a little bit. Because your opponents aren't brain dead, right? Like, if you have a yellow, they're gonna swap to their red, and then once Orlin gets swapped out from when there's a purple, he's not gonna do much. He just can't. He just can't do anything. Like, he can't contribute. Def buffs, we could talk about them, but I don't think they're that substantial to actually talk about. APPULE is gonna give Awakened Darts and blue card damage. Nabana, I believe, is going to give, blast damage on top of the 30% to, minions that can't be canceled. And then I think Orlin gives strike damage, I would assume, because he's strike-based, since Ramon is giving blast, Orlin would give, strike. But besides that, he's not going to do much besides dying and decent early game damage if your opponent is not very competent, to be honest. And that's about all he can do, which sucks, but they had to give one shitty option, which I believe he is that. To continue, Nabana. People don't like Nabana. Now, is Nabana the best option for, let's say, the Frieza Force? No. EX Blue Frieza is better. Just straight up. Is Nabana a good option? Yes. Nabana, I think, is just below APPULE. Look. Solo unit. He'll do decent strike damage. He has a decent strike stat for an EX free-to-play unit. He just works. I don't know how else to explain that. Look, he gets 20 to 25%, one of the two, because I know Robery and Nabana have like basically the same main abilities with their healing. I think it's 25% healing to himself and allies. That can't be slept on. It really can't. His green card won't do much, sure. His blast darts won't do much, sure. His strike arts will do decent, and he's supporting and giving damage debuffs to the opponent. I'll be honest. Him giving basically 40%, because he comes in, he gives 20%. He leaves, he gives 20% damage debuff. So 40% damage debuff, let's say anyone here, you know, I'm not trying to like pair them together like I want to do at the end of the video, but let's say you swap into your Ramon. Well, they got 40% damage debuff if they're not immune. You know, if they're not immune, that's also a scenario, which kind of sucks, but it is what it is. That's going to give Ramon very good damage to do with critical rate and a damage debuff, or damage received buff, I guess what you call it. I don't know what the fuck. But it would allow your other units to hit hard, and that's what Nabana likes to do. I do think he's a worse version of APPULE because sub count down is very, very, very good. That's why Robery is probably above everyone else here because sub count down. The healing is probably the main reason I would put Nabana here over Ramon. I think people would argue with me that Ramon is better. But again, individual units restoring health by 25% versus drawing, you know, or doing more blast damage, I really can't side with Ramon on that one. So I think this makes sense. Then Robery, he's E tier, easily. Look, Robery has what Rage Chunk should have had. Now, thing is, Rage Chunk, second anniversary Rage Chunks, he has this. When the enemy rushes, -10 sub count for him to come in. But Robery has endurance, and that Rage Chunks does it. This guy is better than an anniversary unit. It's honestly hilarious. Is he gonna do crazy damage? No. He has quick Vanish Gauge recovery when he comes in, which is nice. You know, it's not the worst thing in the world, obviously. It's kind of counterintuitive because you want to swap him in on a combo because he has 60% cut when he comes in on a combo. But, I mean, it's nice if you're kind of like in a last man, like he's your last guy alive standing. Okay, you have some Vanish Gauge recovery to, you know, maybe sidestep twice if they play a little bit too slow. You know, kind of defeats passive players, but I don't think it's such an extreme thing that I have to talk about, right? But him lowering that sub count by 10 on a Rising Rush, look, this is how I play the game when I run these units, right? I'd run APPULE, Nabana, Robery. You know what I do? I lead off with APPULE, I go Nabana. If I start taking hits, I'm going to Robery. 60% cut, I'm out. I'm not taking any damage after that. Any unit. No unit's going to do damage to me. Just straight up. 14-star stats. My equipment, my bench here with like, what, 3,800 ability bonus I think I have. I'm not going to take any damage. And let's say I have like EX Goldo as bench that's giving me health. Dude, I got 50% heals with Nabana and Robery. What am I missing? Like, I won't take damage because my cut. If I do take damage, I have 50% healing on 2 main abilities. There's no real mistake. And I have endurance. Then, as soon as they start doing anything else, let's say they just keep comboing Robery, whatever, do anything, then let's say they start comboing my APPULE, okay, I'll just swap to Robery instantly. Or I'll swap to Nabana instantly. Then they'll be like, oh, I can rush because that Robery isn't back yet. Or he just swapped into somebody else, so he doesn't have anybody else to swap in. Lower 10 sub count, boom, Robery's back in. So little units manipulate sub count to like increase it, like, you know, Purple ZKP, Kid Buu. There's not many units that do that where they increase your sub count that drastically. So with Robery, it really plays into that because they can't do anything. They can't manipulate my sub count with most of their units. And that's what makes him so valuable. Again, the healing, he'll do okay damage. You know, he's meant to just be a fucking tank. Like, he almost has the new LF full power Frieza's cut. That Frieza has 65% cut uncovered. This guy is 60%. And this guy's honestly is pretty much better because he has better Z abilities for his team and better equipment, I would say, than Frieza. Given lower stats, but, I mean, given lower stats is kind of if and go because your Frieza's probably like a 3-star while this guy's a 14-star, right? I do recommend you do 14-star these top 3, by the way. If you are going to, like, ridiculously go for it, if not 14-star, 9-star these top 3, they're definitely worth it. But this is my list on them on an individual basis, right? Now, to go over them in a more cohesive manner where they're going to be run together, because typically you want to run them all together, right? I'm going to just change it up, then we'll discuss. So you would be here, Considering something, huh? Yeah, I think this works. There wouldn't be a B tier. There just wouldn't. Yeah. Orlin would get buffed up because, look, critical rate plus that insane strike damage he can do off the rip with like 110% damage inflicted I think he gets. It's going to do work. Same thing with Ramon here. You know, APPULE essentially is leading the pack of everyone's going to hit harder, right? Because that critical rate. Then you have Nabana. Again, I just talked about it with you start off with APPULE, then you go to Nabana instantly, get that 20% damage debuff, then you swap out Nabana as soon as they start beating your ass, go into Robery, boom, you have that 40% damage debuff, then if you land a combo with Robery, boom, you do decent damage because 40%, even if he doesn't have that much damage inflicted Robery, he's going to hit hard. Then you go back to APPULE, pop that main, lower sub count, boom, go back to Nabana, keep repeating the cycle, and they can't do much about it because Rising Rush, you know, and the sub count down with Robery having endurance, it won't mean anything to you. That plays well into Ramon as well. Now, for me, I don't think the ideal setup is APPULE of Ramon Robery. A lot of people do, and like I said earlier, critical rate, right? APPULE giving you critical rate, then you have Ramon who's giving himself critical rate. You have a high chance to crit, and he has card draw speed, right? You have a high chance to not one combo somebody, but do a decent bit of damage to about any color in the game, just because APPULE and Ramon have good synergy. But I don't think I value that RNG over Nabana having the heal, over Robery having the heal. I just think sustaining is a lot more important than doing quick damage. Criticals are nice and all, but if you're not getting them, you're kind of missing on the whole opportunity of you even doing this, right? And I know Ramon can get up to like hit level critical, like over 100% critical rate, and that's fucking fantastic, I agree. But I much rather prefer sustain over an opportunity to maybe get something. So this is where I'd rate them if, you know, you put them on a team together, who's carrying it, who's good, and who's the worst. Obviously, I still think Orlin's the worst. Let me know what you guys think, if you agree or disagree with this. You know, this is more just like a fun list because a lot of people won't have them 14 stars. This is off my experience. Maybe you're off your experience at 6 stars. It might change up a little bit. I do think everyone could agree, though, that Robery is the best of the 5, like, easily. But if you don't, let me know. And yeah, if you agree or disagree with this list, tell me why. Now, I'm curious. You know, I think Ramon will be a heavy disagreement here with Nabana being close to him. People might even rate Nabana at A tier. I don't know. Let me know, though. I'll see you guys in the next one.